I would say something about how this is probably going to be a shorter video, but I just filmed a video that I thought was going to be shorter and it was 24 minutes. So I'm not saying anything about how long this video is going to be. I don't want to jinx myself. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my video about Toners 101, the second part of our skincare foundation video series. I don't know what I'm actually going to call it, but that's what I'm calling it right now, just off the top of my head. Cleansers. I talked about cleansers. It's shameless self-promotion. I'm going to link to my cleanser video up there. I also did a recommendations video. I just filmed that, so if you've watched that already, this outfit and look and everything is going to be very familiar because it's the exact same look. I'm filming these one right after the other. So, toners. I wanted to go over toners because in a lot of people's minds, cleansers and toners go together. And I was originally going to do one video about both, but I had way too much to talk about with cleansers, and so I decided, for the sake of everyone, to split them up. So here's my separate toner video. And what's really interesting was, I remember toners, if you are a person of a certain age, let me back up a little. If you are a person of a certain age like me, and full disclosure, I am 48 years old, and I graduated from high school in 1989, you probably remember toners as being those astringent toners that usually had really aggressive coloring in them and lots of alcohol, and they stung the living daylights out of your skin. For a lot of us, we used toner because we had acne, and we thought that sucking all the oil out of our skin with alcohol was a really great way to go. Those are the dark ages of skincare, and that is a horrible thing to do to your skin. So do not, I repeat, do not use a toner with alcohol. Friends do not let friends use Stridex pads. Stay very far away from them. So toners have changed a lot in the intervening years since I graduated from high school. And toners now there are still some really badly formulated toners, as I found out, but I'll get to that in a minute. But toners, the old idea that they were meant to balance the skin because our cleansers were really harsh, and so you had to balance the skin with a toner. So you had these two, in essence, really harsh things sort of working against each other and battering our poor skin. That has changed a lot. Skincare has come a long way since then. Cleansers are, for the most part, much better formulated. They are much gentler. You can find great, wonderfully formulated cleansers at all price points. Same with toners, although toners are a little more difficult, as I found out, and I will get into that in a few minutes. But basically, what a toner is meant to do is be the first step of your skincare, like putting skincare on your skin. Cleanser is cleaning your skin. You're getting off all the gunk from the day, you're getting off dirt, pollution, makeup if you wear it, and all that other stuff. Oil, the things, the debris and stuff that can cause issues on your skin. And toner is the first step of your skincare regimen as far as putting stuff on, those skin beneficial things on your skin. In years past, as I mentioned, it was meant to balance. And some of the articles that I read still talk about it that way, that toner is meant to balance. It's meant to take off any lingering debris or dirt or oil or whatever. Then I read other articles, and I tend to agree more with these articles, that if you're needing to rebalance your skin or take off any extra debris or anything, you probably need to get a better cleanser. As I mentioned, there are a lot of great, wonderfully formulated cleansers at all price points, so there's no excuse for a cleanser that is stripping your skin too much or that doesn't remove your makeup effectively. So, toners really aren't meant anymore to balance the skin or remove extra stuff. They're meant to start putting on a layer of skin beneficial ingredients, and that depends on the kind of skin you have. If you have oily skin, you may want to use something with a chemical exfoliant like glycolic acid, which will help with some of that skin sloughing that you need to get those dead skin cells and the other stuff off your skin so that you're not perhaps contributing to acne. If you have dry skin, toners can help deliver moisturizing ingredients like hyaluronic acid. And if you have aging skin, they can also deliver skin beneficial ingredients like the hyaluronic acid, which is great for dry skin. It's also great for aging skin because it helps to attract moisture to the skin and plump it up and do wonderful stuff. So toners are really meant to be that first step in your left on the skin skincare. that you will follow up, typically with serums and moisturizers, etc., etc., etc. You will also often hear that toners will help to shrink your pores. And I remember I've heard this for years, that you can shrink your pores and you can do all these things to pores. And so I looked into that because I was just curious, could that actually happen? That is not true. You really can't change the size of your pores. You can't shrink your pores. Pore size is mostly decided by genetics. Some of it can be decided by lifestyle, but a lot of it is genetic and also determined by your skin type. People with drier tending skins tend to have smaller pores. Those of us with oilier skin tend to have larger pores. And I can tell you, as an oily skin person, that is absolutely true, especially on my nose. I have large pores. It's just a thing with oily skin. What can make our pores appear larger is if they get full of dirt and debris and things like that, because that will make them more visible and make them look larger. And some of the research that I went into did suggest that dirt and debris can help to stretch the pores a little bit. So if you have excessively dirty skin, that could make the pores stretch out and become a little larger. But hopefully you're not in that camp. Hopefully your skin is not so dirty that that's happening. But just know that toner really cannot shrink your pores. You really can't shrink your pores. There's really nothing you can do to shrink pores. Pores are the size that they are. And what you can do is keep them clean so that they don't look larger. That's basically what you can do. And I will link some research about that down below, because I thought that was really interesting, because that was one of the things that I was specifically thinking about, because there were some articles that talked about them shrinking your pores, but that's really more of a myth than anything else. So toners are meant to be a skincare step. They're putting some nice skin beneficial ingredients on there. You may be wondering then, is toner an essential step? No, not really. If you ask me a simple question, I'll give you a simple answer. No, toners are not 100% necessary. I will explain why. Toners are a great additional step because they do lay down a layer of good stuff. You can lay down, as I mentioned, you can use toners that have glycolic acid if you need some chemical exfoliation. You can use toners with hydrating ingredients like hyaluronic acid. You can also use toners that have antioxidants, which are great for anybody's skin, but especially aging or mature skin. They're a great additional step, but they're not absolutely necessary. So if you're the kind of person who struggles just to wash your face at night, don't worry about adding a toner. It's not essential. You can get a lot of those ingredients with things like your serum or your moisturizer or something like that. So you don't need to use a toner. Toners are a great optional step, but they're not absolutely necessary. They're great for those of us who are skincare junkies like myself, who don't mind doing extra steps and want to try out different things and see what happens, see if using this product is going to make a difference in a positive way or perhaps even in a negative way, just because we're curious. I am actually testing out 2 toners right now. I used one for 2 weeks, took a break, and then I'm using the second one for a couple weeks just so I can compare and see if they have any beneficial effect on my skin. So toners are not absolutely necessary. So they are a step that you can feel free to skip if you want to. So if you can't afford it, if you, like I said, if you already struggle just to do the simplest of routines, do not force yourself to use toner. But if you don't mind adding the extra step, they can be a really nice first step. They can help to prep the skin so that it can better receive the ingredients that are in things like serums and moisturizers. And they will help, but they're not, like I said, they're not 100% essential. It's not like cleansing your skin that is absolutely essential that you really need to do. Toners are optional. So you can choose to use them or you can choose not to use them. And I will warn you that in the research that I was doing for this video, found out that there are a lot of really poorly formulated toners out there. We've come a long way, but there are still some really awful ones out there that have, some of them still have alcohol. There is this belief that skin needs alcohol, especially oily or acne prone skin. Nothing could be further from the truth. No skincare product should have alcohol in it, period, end of story. And just know that there are some ingredients that, like cetyl alcohol that are not alcohol in the way that we're thinking of alcohol. What we're thinking of are things like the rubbing type alcohol. There are skincare products that have that type of alcohol. Terrible idea. Don't use alcohol. Unfortunately, there are a lot of toners that still have that. They have fragrant plant oils. They have other irritating ingredients. So unfortunately, there are still a ton of really poorly formulated toners out there. So just be very careful. If you're interested in using a toner, I am going to recommend a few specific brands and kinds of toners. But if you're interested in a toner, please make sure you're looking at the ingredients. I would recommend, as I said, avoid alcohol. Also, witch hazel is another ingredient you'll see in a lot of toners. Everything that I've read so far suggests that witch hazel is not a great ingredient. It can be very so not that much different from alcohol. So I would recommend avoiding that. Of course, recommend avoiding fragrance because fragrance is one of the most irritating ingredients in skincare. Fragrant plant oils, things like that. So you will start to learn as you read ingredient lists, and as you get better acquainted with good ingredients and bad ingredients, which things you should be looking for and which things to avoid. So I'm going to warn you, there are a lot of really poorly formulated toners out there, but there are some good ones. And I want to give you a few recommendations if you're interested in adding a toner to your regimen. Okay, so one, and I have not actually used any of these products. Like I said, I'm using 2 toners right now that are by the brand CosRx, which is a Korean skincare brand. I'm hoping I pronounced that correctly. They are spray-on toners. I will talk about them in a separate video because I'm doing a little experiment with them. So I've not personally tried all of these toners that I'm going to recommend to you, but what I did was I took some of those listicles of best toners of all different types and compared them to expert advice from Beautypedia. I talk about Beautypedia a lot, but I do trust them because they not only tell you which products they like, they will tell you why they like them, and they'll also tell you why they don't like products. So I like that they give you the facts on why they either like or don't like a product. I appreciate that. And I found these 4 toners that were recommended by them and also recommended on some of these lists and articles that I found. First one is SK2 Sillumination Mask Skin Lotion. Full disclosure, SK2 is a very expensive skincare brand, but if you can swing it, that one was recommended, especially for aging and mature skin. It had some really great ingredients in it. It's just really expensive, so I would recommend that you look into that and don't feel like you have to buy it, obviously. Toner is an optional step anyways, and so you especially don't need to use a really expensive toner. If you're looking for something more affordable, there is the derma-e Soothing Toner with Anti-Aging Pycnogenol. I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, but that is one that's definitely way more on the more affordable side. I know you can find derma-e in Ulta, and also you can find derma-e in a lot of health food stores like Whole Foods, places like that. So it is definitely somewhat widely available. And that one came very highly recommended. And Pycnogenol, however you pronounce it, Pycnogenol, I suppose I should have looked into this before I filmed this. Great video creator I am. That is an antioxidant. It is not the only antioxidant, but it is an antioxidant. So if you're looking for antioxidants in your toner, that one is a good option. Another one is the CosRx Hyaluronic Acid Hydra Power Essence. And I mentioned that toners and essences, there's some overlap. So that is one of those products where you see that overlap. I am using a couple of toners from CosRx. I've not used this hyaluronic acid essence, but I'm definitely very interested in perhaps checking it out at some point. Hyaluronic acid is a great ingredient for hydration and plumping. It helps attract moisture to the skin and plump up the skin. So it's great for dehydrated skin. And yes, you can be oily and have dehydrated skin. So it's not just a dry skin thing. But hyaluronic acid is a great ingredient for those of us with either dehydrated skin or with skin that needs some plumping. And then finally, the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Wild Oat Hydrating Toner. As you can tell from the name, it is very good for hydration. It delivers some great hydrating ingredients, and from what I could tell, it is fragrance-free, so great bonus with that. And First Aid Beauty is It's not drugstore pricing, it's a little bit above that, but it's still what I guess a lot of people would consider affordable. Of course, affordable depends on your personal financial outlook. So affordable can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But anyways, like I said, I've used some products, like I've said in previous videos, I have used products from First Aid Beauty, and for the most part, I've been very impressed with them. And they are not terribly overly expensive. They're certainly not SK2 prices. And honestly, I'm going to link down below to the page on Beautypedia where they have the best toners, and it's one page. Almost every other skincare product that they have the best rankings for have multiple pages. Toners has one, just because there are so many poorly formulated ones. I was really shocked when I went and looked at some of these articles and they had the lists of what they were recommending, and then checking on the ingredients and checking what Beautypedia had to say about them. And it was amazing, the divide between what these articles are saying are good and what people who know a lot about skincare and ingredients and everything were saying was good or not good. So keep that in mind. That is true of any skincare product, makeup product, anything in the world really. Just because some people say this thing is good or bad doesn't mean it's necessarily good or bad for you. Definitely pay attention to ingredients, and especially the toner. It just sounds like you really, 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 really need to pay attention to ingredients, because there are so many of them out there that have problematic ingredients. So as I mentioned, toner is totally optional. If you want to add it to your skincare regimen, feel free, but don't feel like you have to, because you don't need to. If it's just going to be an additional burden on you with your skincare, don't bother. Don't worry about it. Don't feel like you need to do it. I would say get your basics down, and then as you get good with that, maybe you want to consider adding a toner. And I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that it was informative. I hope you learned something. I will have all sorts of things linked down in the description box below, including my video about cleansers and the recommendations that I have for cleansers, because I'm hoping that those will be helpful as well. And for your throwback track, I am going to link to the band Belly and their song Super Connected. It's off of their album King from 1995. I love that song. It is such a cool song, and the video is kind of funny. So I'll link to that video. I think it's kind of amusing. It's very 90s. Very, 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 very 90s. It was released in 95, so there you go. That's why it's really 90s. And finally, this video was brought to you by paper medical tape, because it is what made this really, really great liner possible. I can't do liner like this without some additional help now, because I'm 48 years old, and so it's really helpful. It's really awesome. So if you're looking to do a winged liner on 48-year-old or older eyelids, I highly recommend paper medical tape. It's pretty essential at this point in my life. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you would like to subscribe, you can hit this little button over here, I think is where it's going to be. And then if you'd like to watch another video, there will be one linked right over here. And I hope that you come back for the next one. Thanks so much, and I will see you later. Bye.